Hello there guys, welcome back to another e-bike repairs YouTube video. Excuse the background. The rest of the place looks like that and the desk looks like that. So we're working on the floor today, which is very clean. I've hoovered, as you can see. This is my IFPLBYR gain. It was originally drop bar. I converted it from drop bar, put larger tyres because I didn't want to buy a Vibe because I'm cheap, and changed to non-road derailleur. That was already on it. Put new pedals. Anyway, the bike's sort of a little bit irrelevant. Long story short, it uses the Mahle X35 system, which is a right pain to fix. What I'm going to do is be ripping out the Vibe system, the X35 system, keeping the hub, replacing the controller, which lives about there, replacing the battery, which lives about there, making that button not do a lot, that one, and sticking a display on the handlebars, probably a throttle because I'm bad, and a new pedal sensor. And interestingly, I've never been sponsored to do anything before. It's very exciting. AliExpress, where I order a lot of parts from anyway, have in fact sponsored this video, which is very cool. So I got this for free. Didn't cost me anything. What it is a KT. Excuse the shoddy camera work. I'm actually not very good at this, believe it or not. It is a KT e-bike controller kit, which I fit to a lot of bikes anyway. So it being sponsored doesn't necessarily mean that I'm, being full corporate shill. But what's interesting about this one is its form factor. So what I've got here is doing an unboxing. Never done an unboxing ever before. I'm this way onto the camera, so you can probably only hear audio out of this side of your headphones, but here we are. We've got some things in here. So everything is, nicely packaged. This is exactly how it came, but wraps up a little bit more in it, like an outer box, but I've unboxed it for ease's sake. We've got a Gillette 9-pin motor extension cable. One of those. That fits straight on the Mahle X35 motor cable, and even though it doesn't look identical, and that will extend the cable from where it is currently on the bike to where the new controller location will be. So there's one of those. We've got a 1-to-2 KT controller extension cable, helpfully labelled throttle, and this one's for the display. I've gone for the one without the e-brakes because I don't care about e-brakes, don't bother me. That cut-off brakes. That's a pin connection. It is about that long, perfectly long enough to go from where it's going to be to where it will be on the bike. We've also got a bit of packing. We've got a throttle. Cable comes out in the centre, so it's on either side. You can fit it either on the left or the right hand side. It's going to be nice to have throttle control. Nice long cable there, so that 1T2 doesn't have to be super long. I can probably stuff it inside the frame and have very few exposed wires. But yeah, thumb throttle. It's perfectly nice. It's a, I think it might be a top bike kit through their AliExpress store. Got one of those, a bit more packaging. We've got what I'm hoping is the right kind of pedal sensor, because this bike's got Holotech cranks, or whatever the Shimano equivalent of Holotech cranks are. Hopefully this is the right kind of pedal sensor, so a big disc and a big pedal sensor to fit over that and hopefully not interfere with anything. I'm pretty sure it's going to work fine. But with it being a KT kit, you can put on any pedal sensor, so if you've got different type of cranks, you can do that. But I've got like press fit cranks, so yeah, and then the waterproof cable that goes on there. It's a very, very long cable on this, so bloody loads of cable there. We've got a waterproof KT LCD4, so the lovely tiny little display. I say lovely, it's fine. It's a little display. Comes with the standard KT LCD4 instruction manual, which tells you bits about what the buttons do, what the settings do, etc. I held that upside down and it fell out of the packet. But we've got this is the most professional unboxing you've ever seen, I'm sure. We've got the LCD4 itself with quite a long cable. That must be a good 50 centimeters of cable there, something like that. And yeah, it looks very much like an LCD4. Clips onto the handlebars there. Got our little hex screw there. 22mm bar jobbies is what it fits, and we've got our waterproof connector on the end. And then the real reason I want this, the reason it's good, is the controller. This is what's special. The rest of it is standard KT stuff. This is a KT tubular controller. One of those. I've gone for the 48 volt model because I'm trying to see what fits and if I can do it on this bike. I know if I got the 36 volt version it would work because of the space available, and I'm trying it with the 48 to see if I can make it work, because if I can, that'd be fantastic. So it's a KT 48 SVPRD-GLT 1F1. Maximum current 15 amps plus or minus 1 amp, so that's actually quite a lot. At peak, 48 times 10 is 500 watts, so 48 times 15 is, what, 750 watts max this could push. Rated current 7 amps to keep it, it's meant to be a 250 watt controller, but at peak, it could pull a bit more. And then low voltage protection, 40 volts. So I've chosen the 48 volt one so that I could struggle. But yeah, look, it's tubular. I'll have the dimensions in the listing. It shows the dimension, of width and stuff. But I measured this, and I think it's going to fit inside the seat tube. Now that I look at it, I feel like it might not, but it looked like it would originally. We'll find out. We'll find out. We'll see if all these things fit. It'll be an exciting adventure. And yeah, that's what's special. So we've got our, I think it's a regular KT controller, but just in a, I don't think it's sine wave or anything, but it's in a fun form factor. Like this, in the tubular form factor. So we've got our plus and minus battery leads with bullet connectors. We've got our motor cable, like that. Extension. So 9-pin waterproof Gillette connector, bog standard. We've got our light output, 6 volt light output. I haven't got any lights because I'm stupid. Well, I have somewhere, but I'll get to that. We've got our PAS, helpfully labelled PAS, so pedal sensor cable. And we've got our extension cable here, which could be used for a 1 to 2 or 1 to 4 cable, depending on if you're using the cut-off brakes or not. It cannot be used with the light output connector because it does not have the extra holes. Normally they'd have little holes in the middle. Doesn't have those. That's why you've got your separate 6 volt light output here. So that's what comes in the kit. It's very exciting. I'm just going to have a quick clean up. Bear with me. There we go. I've thrown that out of the way on camera. Off camera, sorry. All the packaging, anyway. So if you're on a tripod today, as opposed to the overhead mount. If I show you here, we've got our, there we go, our in-tube stuff all lives in here. To get this out, there are little screws underneath the frame. One up here, which is missing on my bike, and one down here. I bought the bike for 200 quid, so, it functions, but the battery life is weak. This one helpfully has the side cable exit here, instead of it running all through the headset up here and being a right pain. It just comes out here, which is fantastic for me because it's going to make my life easier. On a lot of the other stuff, the Vibes and the Gains, the newer models, or a Ribble, so basically anything that uses the X35 stuff, they often have the headset cable exit where it runs through the headset, and it's a right faff to get it all out. So you've got to drop the forks out, disconnect the front brake, all that stuff, take everything apart to be able to replace all this, which is why replacing it as standard costs quite as much as it does. I think a battery for one of these, an X35 battery, is $650 retail. And then, of course, you've got fitting, and quite often the press fit bottom bracket will break when you remove it. So you're going to end up being around about the £800 mark is what I tend to charge for one where you've got to drop the forks out, because it's a right pain. Dropping forks, relining everything up, running cables through all the headset and stuff, because you don't just have your standard like a one cable and then gear cable, front and rear brake cable. You end up with an extra light for the wire, an extra wire for the lights, and an extra wire for the this button up here, and then an extra wire that goes for the handlebar controls if you've got that. And then one of them I did, it had a light in the headset here. It was awful to do, horrible. So yeah. Oh, and then built-in lights if you've got them as well. So it can be a right pain. So this model is going to be easier, but still it's a faff because the X35 system is a faff. So the idea of this is to move away from that and not have to deal with their system anymore. So you'll be using a bog standard battery with a bog standard BMS and a bog standard charger. So chargers will cost £30. A battery rebuild on a 36 volt version will cost, £250, as opposed to £650 and it being a right pain to replace. I'm aiming to still use the Mahle case if possible. I don't know if that's going to work. I know it'll work for a 36 volt because it's just 10S2P. I've done a video on the inside of one of those before. So we'll see what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this apart. I'm going to get it flipped upside down. I'm putting it on the floor because I don't care. It's my bike and I can do what I want with it. Obviously, we should be using a bike stand. Gloves, being super careful, not leaning it against anything. It's my bike. I don't care. It's already scratched. I can scratch it more. It was a cheap bike. I'm using it as a test mule. Okay, so this is the bike upside down now. I've got an Allen bolt here that is a... What is that? Whatever size that is. It's not going to be the same for every bike, but you've got to take one of these off to get to the... undo this cover here. This is what I've got. I can't promise these are the right bolts. This bike has all sorts of bits missing and broken and wrong and stuff, and it's in a state. I've done a lot to make it better, but it's in a state, and it was always in a state. We've also got one bolt just here, which is the next size down, so that'll be a 2.5mm Allen. So this is probably a 3mm Allen then, isn't it? Oh, still in the handlebars. That'll come off, which is good. I know I've had this one off before, so I know it comes off. And then to get the battery out, there's one more here, which is the same 2.5mm Allen. Pretty sure it's 2.5mm, or I'm telling you all wrong. But anyway, there'll be a bolt there, because these X35 batteries, they're held in by 2 bolts. There's one there, and there's supposed to also be one down here. See if I can make it focus. One there, but mine is missing it, because of course it is. Why wouldn't it be missing it? The bike is in a right state. So, that'll pop off. I'm going to get myself a little tray to put all my screws in, I think, because I'll end up losing everything and dropping everything, because I'm silly. Yeah, tray. Screws go in tray. Right, will this battery pop out without hitting the bottom bracket? I certainly hope so, because the bottom bracket's welded in. So we've got our connector for a charge port, for our charge port. There we go, or the range extender, so many pins. I'm thinking I can replace this with a standard XLR 3-pin charge port. We've got our connector for our pedal sensor, speed sensor, which goes through there, and it lives on a little Allen key right at the back. So if you follow this little cable down, see that one there? Follow it down, follow it down, follow it down. It ends up down there. There's a little square magnety thing in the dropout that tells you the there are magnets on the end of the cassette disc, the lock ring, and as they go past the sensor, it tells the bike that you're pedaling, and then you can use it. It's only, I know it's 5-pin. What else have we got then? We've got the motor extension cable. Gonna need some cutters, aren't I? How exciting. Cut cable ties off. 1, 2 of those. Throw them on the floor. We've got our motor extension cable. Standard. It just fits. And I think that's it on this bike. There will be a cable at the other end of this that plugs into the button up the top, which I've realised I've not unplugged. So I'm going to have to turn the bike back round in a second. But it's not even hitting the charge port. No, I think we might get clear of that without even having to take the charge port out, which I've still got to take out. So let's put the bike back up the correct way again. Undo that button. Probably take the charge port out as well, because I'm not going to use it. So we shall get to that in a moment. Okay, so for the charge port, I'm also missing a screw. Why wouldn't I be? And I think it's is that an Allen or a Torx? It's very small, whatever it is, I can't remember. There you go, it's an Allen, it's the smallest Allen. Well, not the smallest, but it's a very small one. I'm fairly certain that the port is the same size as a XLR port, though, which is nice, or very similar. A bit of bodgery will make it work, I'm sure. I think if you kept this at 36 volt, it may in fact charge off the regular charger. I'm pretty sure that it would. That's something I'll have to find out when I do my first sort of real conversion of one of these and see. This is obviously sort of a proof of concept that I can do it, but there's the little screw there, bolt, and it's got that tiny little Allen head. And then the charge port's just going to come out because there should have been two, but I didn't have to, I only had one. So that's charge port, Ebike motion. Yeah, 2 wires, plus and minus for power, and then comms wires here. Don't think the charger uses the comms wires, I'm pretty sure it just, because when I plug it in you hear a click, a pop of the caps in the controller charging and the charger connecting. Pretty sure that's it's just plus and minus on those. And then I've got to undo this little button here, again handheld now, which I think is the same tiny little Allen. This has been over tightened and it's broken the little connector there, unfortunately. I would like in the long term for this to connect to, like, maybe this is just a little push button. I think I've turned it on. I think I'd like for it to connect to sort of a latching, oh yeah, it's giving me an error now, a latching relay or something like that. So it would turn on and off the lights. But for now, I'm probably just going to end up putting the button back when I'm done, or a bit of tape over the hole or something on this one. Hopefully we're going to find a connector. Doing all this with one hand. There we go, look. There's our connector there. So normally when I pull this out, if I'm replacing the battery, I'll pull a draw wire through with it. So I'll undo this, and I'll pull a bit of wire through at the same time, so that I can use it to pull this cable back up as I connect the battery. But I think we'll just be able to undo that. There we go. That's that out. Lots and lots and lots of pins on there. Exciting. But yeah, if you want to pick up this controller and stuff and you want to do this to your own bike, I will have some kind of links somewhere on for something. It'll be on AliExpress. Obviously, I'm meant to say thank you very much to them for sponsoring the video, giving me free parts. I love free parts. To tell you the truth, I was going to buy it anyway, and then I saw an email in my inbox from them talking about like this sort of AliExpress promotional credit you can get, which is pretty nice. I'm a big fan of free stuff, and as I say, I was going to make the video anyway. So this connector isn't fitting through the, you can't see, but it's not fitting through the forks. I'm going to have to drop the forks out to do this, which will be undo this, undo this, undo the top cap. So both clamps, top cap, drop the forks out. Shouldn't be too bad at all. So have you off, and then we'll take this one off as well. Oh, my helper has arrived. Hello, helper. And I'm going to need an Allen key that I've lost. I've left it on the floor. To undo the top cap. Unscrew that all the way off. Magical automatic camera now. Very exciting. So that's top cap off. I have to wiggle the bars off. They go down like that. Again, it's my bike, I'm allowed to scratch it. Get all my spacers, etc. to come off. We've got our, there we go. Yeah, the connector's stuck. Oh, hello. Oh, that's come up. The connector is stuck because I'm pulling too much on the, there you go. There it comes. Let the battery start to fall out of its arse. Right, let's go forks semi back in for now. Stick those back on a bit because I'll never be able to stand this up. And I'm going to flip the bike upside down. Okay, so I have released the cable and look, it wants to come out. This one's much easier to drop out than a lot of the, what's the one, a gain or a ribble, because it's got no press fit bottom bracket and it can slide out straight past it. Quite a lot of them, you've got to take the whole bottom bracket out, etc. out to be able to get to it. But here is the X35 battery. I've shown pulling one of these out before, which is absolutely fine. You can't really read the numbers, but you've seen inside them on a different video. Someone's had this apart before because there's a bit of metal on it and there are all sorts of horrible bits of tape. I'm assuming that's why it's missing all its screws, because someone's done something to this before. Now, if I were reusing this to do a 36 volt system, I would reuse the case itself, and inside it there's room to rebuild it's like a 36 volt for 6 amp hour, something like that pack. And so 10S 2P, There's room to rebuild all that between here and here, because there are already 20 cells, and now I'll just replace the 20 cells, new BMS, etc. That's fine. And then the controller lives here, and I would use the tubular controller either in this space if it's possible, or it would slide up into the seat post hole. Now, the seat post hole on this one doesn't really work, but I'll get to that in a minute. So this takes up about, there we go, it takes up about most of the space, basically from here up until here. Where I want to build a 48 volt one, I'm going to have to come up with a whole extra row of cells, but I don't think this area is used here, so the battery only comes up to here, and this area here looks like it's enough room for 1 or 2 more groups of cells like I'm going to have to get, because at the moment it's 10S, I need 13S, so I can do 10, 11S, 12S probably. Maybe I can squeeze 13S in. I don't know if it's possible till I start measuring stuff up, but I will find out. Should be all very exciting. And then if we come over here, I shall set the camera back up in its new position. Yeah. Right, so what I'm going to check is if the controller even looks like it's going to fit in this seat tube area, because I'm going to have to drill a really big hole in the bottom of that there, or drop it down from above and then pull the wires through. By taking the, oh hello, popping the seat out and seeing if it's even going to fit in here or if I've mismeasured. I thought it would. Oh no. The clamp fits. Oh, I've done a bad thing. Oh no. Un disaster. Well, now there definitely isn't room, is there? It would fit up here in the top tube. There is that option of mounting everything the other way up, having the battery cable outer be up here, having the light output be here, the 1T or 2 or 4 cable being up here, and the motor extension running all the way down through the bike. But I'd never get that in there. Oh, I've done it. I've made a boo-boo. I thought this was a different size. When I measured it, I really thought it was a different size. That's not good. What do we think it looks like outside of its case? I wonder what it looks like outside of its case. Wrapped in barley paper, but only keeping this part of the heat shrink, the heat sink. I think we're going to open this up and have a little look. I'll cut back once I've done such a thing. Right, so I have removed it, and now, as you can see, it does in fact fit in there. Now, is this enough heat sinking? Is there a reason they put it in an exterior case? Probably. Will it work? I'm happy to try and be the test mule. Inside here, we've got a KT controller. It's built perfectly well. Cap, resistor, etc. MOSFETs all along the back. Voltage regulator will be that one there probably. It looks absolutely fine. Things are hot glued because that's how, realistically electronics are mass manufactured, and that's okay. I'd love for this to be a simple, easy thing, but I'm probably going to have to wrap this in capped on tape for electrical separation so I don't short anything out on the inside of the frame. And then barley paper, maybe, is going to be my best bet. And maybe, I don't really know if this is going to be enough of a heatsink, but I'll find out because there's literally no room for any more because I can't measure, apparently. Or the listing can't measure. We'll see. Let's go with I can't measure. That feels like the best thing. It's a sponsored video after all. I was wrong, not the listing. Yeah, we'll try, hopefully, what I'm going to be able to do is sort of drop this down there, but the other way. So with wires first, like that. Drill a hole somewhere in the bottom bracket to feed said wires through. No idea how I'm going to get all that lot through because it's quite a big hole, but we'll get to that. And then they can come out down there where they need to. So I'm going to give some things a go, and I will cut back when I've done something that actually works. Okay, so things have happened. I have opened up the seat post tube. If we get a shot right down in there, straight down through the top, you can see light at the bottom. There you go, light at the bottom of the tube. I've opened it right up. It's now a very big hole. I had to drill a big hole there to get the big hole there. I've drilled this one too big because I'm an idiot. I've completely ruined the bike frame. In here is a notch if we go from this side. Yeah, there's a notch there for the cables to exit. This is now the controller. The controller is no longer in its original case. It is wrapped in Kapton tape and then fish paper. My camera lady has just fallen off the back of the chair. Get back on there. So, popping it in, it should just fit. It's very tight, I'm going to be honest. It should just fit and push down just enough that I think I'm going to get the bottom bracket to clear it. I think. And then the cables can come out of the notch. And this is going to be a just type situation. This is not something I recommend anybody does to their bike. The part is fantastic, but you need a wider seat post tube than what I've got on mine. So here we are. I've done some modification. You shouldn't do it. I can't offer this service to other customers unless they've got a bigger seat post tube, because I can't be drilling holes in this. It's not on. If you've got a removable bottom bracket where the whole thing's press fit and the entire thing comes out, I think there is a hole there already. I think there's a hole from factory, and you're obviously not drilling a bloody great hole in it like I've done. So yeah, you can see the destruction across the floor. Yeah, quite a lot of metal has come out. It's not great, but here we are. It's my bike. I can do what I want. You can't stop me. So I'm going to try and pop the bottom bracket in, and I will cut back. Okay, so I've got the controller in. I've got the bottom bracket in. I've got the pedal sensor temporarily mounted, so that the sensor is mounted, but the magnet ring is loose still, because I wasn't quite sure how it would fit. But that's on there. I cannot get the bottom bracket threaded back in. I've ruined the threads, or the threads were ruined before I ever got it out. I'm not sure. So that's just a situation we'll deal with. This is obviously a massive, horrible hack job, and we'll just pretend it's not there, because once that plastic cover goes back on, we won't see it. So I've got battery hooked up to it, just a lovely duct tape thing as a test thing. I've got my motor extension cable plugged in over there. Obviously the bike's upside down right now, but I've got the screen here. Nice bit of kit. One of those. I've got to set up the speedo because it thinks I'm doing 80 miles an hour or kilometers an hour all the time, but it's in mode number 5. And if I press the throttle, you will see the back wheel will do things. Which is fantastic. It works. Slow down with your finger. And then if I pedal, it also works. So the system works. This fitting in there, it's not right for the bike. It's probably going to overheat up a long incline, you know, being enclosed in there. But here we are. It's a proof of concept that you can run it off a different thing. The best way to do this will be to rebuild the battery pack for somebody and externally mount a controller. So, or find a different KT controller in a small form factor that will fit in this space here. And you can clearly move away from the Mahle battery and controller system and go with a more standard pedal assist sensor. And then you just add your little screen to the handlebars, and this has a light output that I think you press that one there. Oh no, hold the up button. There you go, press and hold the up button, and that will turn on the 6-volt light output, which I'll get wired in at some point. There's a lot to do, and I'm planning on taking this on a 50-mile ride in about 10 hours, which is, I also have to sleep in that time, so very exciting. We'll see. We'll see. So I'm thinking that part 2 of this will come out in a separate kind of video, possibly. We'll find out. Okay, so it's been out on a ride. It all worked great. It's upside down, clearly. Got it outside in the garden at the moment. I've done a couple more bits and bobs and adjustments. Underneath here lives my dual battery switcheroo situation. It's an XT60 plug that you either plug in or don't plug in. Everything is rammed underneath the original cover. It just about fits. There's a bit more clearance than there once was because I can fit my finger under there, but it's fine. pedal sensors there fitted. The magnet ring I just ended up gluing in place. It was the easiest solution. It works perfectly. I've got pedal assist when I want it now. It's nice and straight and true. The glue is obviously disgusting, and it's meant to use the cable ties around there to hold it all in place, but I didn't do that. I went with glue because I'm a bad person. What else? My bottom bracket is ruined. It will not go in. The threads are damaged. It will not go in. I actually wonder if they were damaged beforehand, but anyway, it works, and that's close enough for testing purposes. We've got extra cables, of course, motor cables there. I'm going to end up oil cooling the motor, I think, because it did get quite toasty. Obviously, I'm running more power than I should be through it, so that's fine. I fitted a rear light, that's built in, powered off the bike, and then the cable runs down the back there, up here into the light output of the controller. And then on the bars, our flipper's up the right way, and I'll show you what it looks like on the handlebars. Okay, we're up the right way. Also, very cool. Got a genuine bomber as well as my most expensive bike stand currently is what I'm using it as. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It fell in a canal, I believe. Just interesting. It's a whole other matter, that. So I've got my recycled rack because I'm not paying for a new one. Bike light there. Swapped out the gears for different ratios. New shifter, new derailleur, new cable outer. I think the original inner. Original outer, new inner. I've covered over the hole here with a bit of carbon fibre wrap. It looks awful. Phone mount, front light mounted on a horrible piece of Meccano that I've chopped in place. This is a huge bodge. Don't do this. New shifter, because obviously this used to be drop bar and I converted it to flat bar. Probably heavier than it ever was. Throttle fitted. And then we can turn it on and off here with our screen. So if I press and hold that, there we go. Got our pedal assist modes 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and 0 if you don't want any assist. Distance travelled, I did 22 miles on my little ride. One of our friend's bike motors overheated, so we had to stop and get the train. I got a puncture in the front wheel. It was all very interesting. Let's see, if I go through, you see 53.6 volts, so we're almost fully charged. Should be 54.6, but it's close to fully charged. Maximum speed, miles per hour, current. Obviously, there are lots of settings you can do. Bog standard KT display here, so that's fine. I've already crunched the front of the display a bit in. I might have crashed a little bit. It's all pretty good, to be honest. It works, it does bike things. So if I press and hold the up button here on the display, you can see the little light logo appears up there, and then my front light is on and nice and bright. It's hard to see, but it's on. And then rear light wise is also on, nice and bright, which is fantastic. So overall, it went pretty well. I stuffed inside the frame here a 13S 2P pack of Samsung 30Q cells. So that's 48 volts at 6 amp hour. And you can just see the end of the pack there, actually. I just heat shrunk it, shoved it in the frame, because if I used the original one, I kept it all 36 volt, I'd be able to reuse the original Mahle casing, because that's 10S 2P. But because I'm doing 13S, it ended up being a bit longer. So it was sort of there, all the way down to here. It's not held in with its screws, it's a friction fit. Probably a very bad idea, but here we are. It's all wrapped and stuff, and fish papered and things, but it does fit, it's doable. There's room. Amazing. And even though the frame has this divot up in it here that reduces the room available a bit, it is doable. And then I've added this is a battery mount, because it's not a very secure battery mount. My ultimate goal with this is to ride to Paris or something like that. I'll take it on longer trips. So I'm able to use this and just unplug the XT60 underneath. So flip the bike upside down, undo one Phillips head screw and redo it up. And I can swap out this to the internal battery. So short local journeys, use the internal battery, job done. And if I'm far away journeys, I've got two huge 52 volt 21 amp hour packs that slide on there on, typical wrench and poly DP9 case, I think, mounts, and they just plug in via that, so that can live there when I'm not using it. Internal battery the rest of the time, which is pretty good. And there's its cable, goes up there, down there, and there's its charge port just there, which I've put in place of the original one. nice and cobwebby because it's been about 2 weeks since my little ride. Been very busy here. And yeah, covers up with a little cover like that. There are lots of things you could do to make this all go a bit nicer. So if you didn't add lights, didn't go for front and rear lights, if you didn't add this, if you tied the sensor on instead of gluing it, because obviously the glue is not that pretty, down in there, you can make this all look nicer, better. But this is more a proof of concept. A, I like the bike. B, can I do it? C, is it worth doing? Yeah, if you get the KT controller kit at sort of sub £100, I think you're about sort of 80-ish, something like that, and a 10S 2P battery, 6 amp hours, 200 quid. If I build it, it's quite reasonable, inside the Mahle case, and you replace the controller. I need to find out if the 36-volt controllers are actually narrow and they will fit into the seat tube, because obviously I had to do that thing where I completely destroyed my bike frame, drilling a bloody great hole. Separate matter entirely. And if it's doable, it's doable. If it's doable easily with 36-volt, if it's worth it, because you move away from the Mahle system, you keep the pedal assist, you don't add a throttle because it's illegal, or you add a throttle but restrict it to only 6 kilometers an hour, then you're pretty much good to go. What else worthy of note? It's got way more torque, way more power, top speed. Obviously this bike isn't road legal anymore, that's fine, because we've increased the power output. I've turned it up on the display, so probably doing more like 500 watts, and also I fitted a throttle because I'm a bad person. It probably maxes out much closer to 30 miles an hour on the 52-volt pack, and it's pretty good. I'm happy with it. I'm pleased with it. It's nice. It does what I want it to do. It's a nice ride. It's smooth. It goes forever. The IFPLBYR, what have I got on here? Land Cruiser tyres. So they're not quite a marathon in terms of longevity or how far you're going to coast, but they're really not bad. The Land Cruisers are pretty good. IFPLBYR make great tyres. I've got slime in the front. The rear's not slimed yet because when I take the rim off, I'll have to drill out this to fit a Schrader valve tube. And then also I'm going to oil cool the motor on that. I'll try and do a video on oil cooling it because that'll be interesting. It'd be interesting to open it up, see if I cooked it when I overheated it the other day, the other week now. Yeah, so hopefully this helped. As I said earlier, this video was sponsored by AliExpress. They provided the parts for free, so the controller, the wiring, the pedal assist sensor, the throttle, the display were all free. Obviously the bike, the lights, the rack, tyres, mudguards, extra battery mount, all the work was me. I didn't pay for any of that. It's only sponsored as in the parts were provided. However, the KT parts, you can buy them, easy to get, easy to source, reliable. KT stuff's good, and it's a system I'm familiar with. It works with all different types of pedal sensors, and I like it a lot. You can swap out the screen as well with the KT, like for any old screen you fancy. So you could either go for a little one like this all the way up to a big one. You can get a Bluetooth adapter so you don't have to have a screen at all. You can have it with cut-off brake sensors if you really want those, but don't pedal while you stop, etc. But yeah, so as I say, it was sponsored. Thank you very much to them. It's very kind of them. I'm just happy I got free stuff, to be honest. And yeah, if this helped anybody, hopefully it does, then leave a like, share the video, comment if you fancy, subscribe to the channel. I do stuff like this all the time. I'm trying to do longer form, slightly better edited content, and yeah, if not, of course, leave a dislike. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.